everyone, welcome back to High Point, a place where you can get study materials related to NTA, UGC NET, English language and literature. So welcome back to yet another video session of High Point. Here we are going to learn today about language and discourse. So if you remember about the previous video lecture of this series, which was about the circuit of culture, towards the end of that video I have mentioned various crust areas that usually academics circles looking in cultural studies, such as language, discourse, identity, everyday life, ethnography, media studies, reception or audience studies, cultural intermediaries. So these are the crust areas usually in academic sphere we are studying and we are looking in research, especially under cultural studies. Okay, so the first crust area is being language and discourse, about which we are going to learn today. So before beginning the major video session, let me introduce other platforms that I am involved. So here I am shared my Instagram ID lijimaria90. You can follow me if you are also there on Instagram, because there I am sharing lot of free materials related to NTA, UGC, NET, JRF, English language and literature in the form of study cards, reels, short videos, carousels and Monday quizzes about a particular subject, particular text or a concept in literature, and many more things you can see there in my Instagram page. And these things are savable, guys, so you can save all these things into your account and you can use them whenever you want them. Okay, and also I have a WhatsApp group. I'm maintaining a WhatsApp group in which I'm sharing daily quiz question and answers, as well as news and updates related to NTA, UGC, NET, along with some study materials related to literature, English literature. So if you are interested, you can go to the description box, you can click the link and join it directly, or you can WhatsApp me in this number or call me in this number. I'll share the link, you can join. And more than that, we have a website known as www.highpoint, in which I am sharing 900 plus audio lectures along with 300 plus downloadable study materials, along with previous and practice set of question papers. The latest question papers also you can find it there from the oldest one. So yeah, if you are looking for some comprehensible, simplified and well arranged study materials that we have already provided in our website, you are in the right place. You can go to the website and also have the free trial and see whatever we have provided there. And if you felt interested, you can join the course for now with 15% off, and after joining you will get 2 bonuses like weekly test in every Saturdays, and also personalized study guidelines according to your schedules and your own preferences in topics. So for these 2 bonuses we are not charging anything extra for now, so grab the offer while you have it now. So let's move on to today's subject, which is language and discourse. So let me begin this video about a famous statement made by Raymond Williams, in which he is defining culture and society and how culture and society are interconnected. Okay, this statement has been taken from his work known as The Long Revolution, which is published in the year 1961. Okay, let's begin. I'll break down this entire explanation and definition by Raymond Williams for you. Our description of our experience comes to compose a network of relationship. So we have various kinds of experiences inside while we are in a culture, while we were practicing many things in a culture. So all these experiences comes, and all these experiences together make a network of relationship. Okay, so when you go on in this video, you will understand what is this network of relationship and how these experiences are interconnected. Okay, so experiences compose a network of relationship. All our communication systems, including the art, are literally part of our social organization. So all our communication systems, see what type of communication is going on inside a society, inside a culture, that is what makes a community, right? That is what makes a society, a culture, right? So all our communication systems, so mass media, we are using certain kind of symbols and signs, we are using concepts, we are using in order to communicate. So if only a community need to form, there should be a communication happening, right? Without any communication you cannot have a community or a culture. So all our communication system, including arts is also a communication system, that we communicate something through that artistic object. So all these things are literally or truly part of our social organization. And since our way of seeing is literally our way of living, so how we are living determined by what perception we have about this social organization, the outer world. Okay, what type of perception, what is our ideology, how we are seeing the outer world or the things around us or things inside us, that actually literally is the way how we are living. The process of communication is in fact the process of community. So like I said, if only you want a community, if only you see a community, there should be some or other kinds of communication should happen. So this process of communication is the fact that makes a community, is the process happening behind the construction and maintaining of a community. And the community contains too many things, a network of things are happening in a community through this communication. The offering to the tension and achievements of growth and change. So a community, this communication will happen through some sort of tensions, achievements of growth and change. There will be circulations and maintenance of meanings and tensions going on inside the community. As far as communication is concerned, so that actually pave the way to form a community. So these are some of the things that we can understand through the statement made by Raymond Williams. Now let's see what is the relationship between language and cultural studies. So Raymond Williams in this quotation shows the emphasis that is he wanted to give experience in the everyday life. So what is culture? Culture is the way how we live our everyday life. So he gives an emphasis, he wants to give a stress to the experience of everyday life in order to form culture, in order to have communication in a community and form a community as well. Now let's see what is language, and language is related to culture, how it is related to culture. So language in simple terms, you have to remember Saussure's idea here. He is linguistic, he was a structural linguist, and he said that language is system of signs, right? Language is system of signs, and since science contains a word or a sound and also a concept behind that word or sound. I think that is everybody knows that. When we discuss structuralism, we will discuss it elaborately, but keep this in mind. Okay, this definition of language you should keep in you, so in order to understand language and discourse. Okay, so cultural studies about a society is about culture and not only about economics and politics. So if you are studying about a society, you are not only studying about the economy and politics related to that society, but culture. Basically you are studying about the culture of the society, even if you are studying economics and politics. Okay, communication creates community. Like I said when we are explaining the statement made by Raymond Williams, communication is the thing that creates community. If community is there, then only culture is relevant, right? Culture is a thing that is there in a community, and communication is the thing that will create a community. And how this communication will happen, again you will finish the circle because of some cultural meanings associated to that communication. So meanings and values and their exchange and circulation constitute a particular culture. So there are some representation, meanings means some representation that are created in context. In situations we are representing many things and values, and their exchange, we are communicating these meanings to one another, and through that exchange we are circulating this meaning and values that actually constitute a particular culture. Okay, understand each statement clearly. If you have any doubts, comment all those doubts and questions in the comment section, or ask me directly in WhatsApp in the given number. Okay, don't hesitate to do that. A society's meanings and values reflect its economic and political system, and hence to study meaning is to study a culture. So even if you are doing economic and political studies, or the meaning and values are entrenched or reflected in its economic and political systems, and if you are studying those meanings, it is mean that you are studying the culture of that society. And so since culture is about studying this meaning, culture is also sharing a meaning. So culture carries a meaning, culture is exchanging and circulating this meaning through communication. So culture is also about sharing a meaning. And this meaning, what is the main peculiarity of this meaning? This meaning is never fixed. We cannot find a fixed meaning anywhere. See, you take any meaning. Take the example of some words. Some words got relevance today. Some other words lost their relevance today. Some customs lost their relevance today. Some customs also gained their relevance. Some meanings related to some customs and meanings changed from its earlier meaning, whether it got an upper hand or lower hand. In that way, the meanings are not fixed. They are arrived through a process of negotiation and exchange. See, these meanings, they were not essentially there just like that. It actually arrived, and it actually arised from a context through various representations. So, they are arrived through a process, a complex kind of process of negotiation. In a situation, it was repeatedly used and customized. So, through that negotiation and exchange of meaning, this meaning arrived. Okay, so as the negotiation and exchange changes throughout the ages, as time passes, this meaning will also get changed. That's why meanings are never fixed. Okay, here you can see some post-structuralist and also deconstructionist ideas emerging. But still, when you understand language and discourse, you have to also know structuralism along with a little bit of structuralism along with it. So otherwise, it will be not easy to understand. That's why I asked you to keep the definition of language. Language is a system of signs, and a sign contains a concept and a meaning, a sound or word, and also a meaning or concept related to that particular word or concept. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, the meanings are produced in a culture through a process which are connected to the power structures of a society. So the meanings will happen in a context, and who is controlling that context, who is controlling this meaning production? It is associated to power structures. Take the example of femininity. You have a certain meaning associated to femininity, like a feminine person, or a femininity is based on gender, right? So feminine gender means women or girls. They will have a certain kind of names. They will have a certain kind of conducting their life. They will have a certain kind of way of dress. Even food habits, they will have a certain kind of food habits. They have to go through certain kind of customs in society at various steps of their life. They need to show themselves or present themselves in a certain way, publicly and privately. They have to carry out certain kind of duties even though they like it or not. So in that way, this thing, this cultural concept, femininity, carries a lot of meaning. And who is controlling this thing? It is a power structure known as gender as well as patriarchy in a society. So patriarchy, class, caste, you can say gender, all these things are power structures. Under these power structures, in order to maintain its control, it has many power institutions like marriage. Okay, so in that way, meanings are produced and controlled through power structures in a society. What we mean by meaning in cultural studies is representation. Okay, take the example of your word, your meaning. I'll tell you my name is Liji Maria, and by hearing this name in this context, in this Indian context, if you are an Indian or especially a South Indian, you will immediately get the idea that my name carries a femininity. That means by hearing my name, you arrive at the meaning that you will represent, you try to understand the representation that I am a female, and my gender is woman, and I probably belong to South India because of the way in which my name appears, and probably because of the word Maria in my name, I probably belong to a Christian community, Christian religion, and of course I am a woman, and I'm a millennial. This kind of names you can find among millennial people, which are common, right? So in this way you will arrive at lot of representations, lot of meanings from the single word of my name. Okay, so representation is signifying that it actually creates and generates many meanings. So my name actually represent and signify many meanings. And representation, so same case with your name, whatever is your name or any other name, you just can generate many more things, many more meanings, and generate many more meanings and signification from that single word. Okay, representation is something that how we understand certain things in a particular way in a culture. See, by hearing my name itself, you understand many things, or you actually try to generate meanings out of that word. Even if you have not seen me, you don't have any direct idea how I look like, you don't have any idea about who am I in person. So since even then you can understand from the single word of my name through that representation. So representation is all about how we understand certain things, the particular way in which we are understanding certain things in a culture. So the third thing you can analyze with a foreign name. Okay, so you heard a foreign name. Okay, from that name maybe you have heard a Russian name, suppose. You cannot even understand this word to signify a person's name, whether it is a name of an object or a person's name, or even if you know that this is a person's name, you cannot maybe understand, okay, whether it is a what kind of gender that this person possesses, okay, what kind of whether it is a woman or a man, and what kind of age group that he probably belongs, or he or she probably belongs to, and what is his original name, what is his surname, so which is his surname in that full name. So in that way you will get perplexed about, you cannot create a meaning out of that name because that culture is unknown to you. So for this representation and meaning production to happen, you need to have a situation, a familiar situation, otherwise it's just like a word, it signifies nothing, just like a word that we confront from a foreign language. See, suppose I don't know Hindi, any word in Hindi, and I hear a word from Hindi and I don't know this word, so it signifies nothing to me. It's just a word combination of sounds. Other than that, it represents nothing to me, it creates any meaning to me, nothing is there. Because there is no particular way that I could look at that word and understand that word and the representation of that word from a culture, from a situation. Okay, so a representation can be word, image, sound, concept. See, sound, concept, that means a representation can be a sign. See, my word, my name is a sign. Any other word that I am telling is a sound or a concept. That there is a concept behind it. Even you understand it or not, there is a concept. If you know it, then you can generate meaning. And the way I am dressing, the way I am having my hair, and the way I am presenting to other people, that also, that image, that particular representation is there. And through that, meanings can be generated. And we use these concept signs to produce meaning. See, we use this concept sign to produce various kind of meaning. And representation is the alphabet of this culture. So, in culture, representation is the basic thing, and we can use this representation in order to create meaningful sentences. That means language. See, representation of my name is here, and we can use that representation to create meaningful sentences about me, or meaningful language, or meaningful things construct about me. At least you can generate something, whether it is fully correct or not. Okay, so in that way representation goes, and that's how language is associated to language is associated to what? Language is associated to culture. Let me give more emphasis here. See, word plus concept behind that word forms meaning. So there is a word, take the example of my name, a lot of concepts are there behind my meaning that you can generate. So that is this word, the concept behind it is meaning, and word, concept, meaning and context together known as representation. So what is the representation of my name? There is a word and there is a concept behind it, and together word and concept create meanings, and this meaning will be created in a context. That is very, very important, because without this context you cannot arrive at a meaning. Say, take the example of that foreign name. You cannot arrive at a proper conclusion, you cannot generate a meaning at all if you don't know the context. That means the cultural context of that particular name. Okay, so word, concept, meaning plus context create a representation. Okay, so that's all about language and culture. Now let's discuss about discourse. So we have seen that how context is important in order to have some representations along with the word, concept and meaning. Language is not neutral or transparent. It is connected to class, power, ideology and the material conditions in which the meaning production is happening. So like I said, it's not that simply some meaning production and generation is happening in society. Meaning generation and production is always controlled by power structures like ideology, class, patriarchy, gender, things related to names and people. So in that way, language is not neutral. It is not neutral, standing there without any, it is not transparent as well. But it has some, it has some sidedness with the power structures. Okay, so this meanings generation, it is controlled by whom? Controlled by patriarchy. That's why whenever we hear a name, if you know the context and culture, we immediately think that it is a female name or it's a male name. See how? Because in a patriarchal society, you can name a, you can name a person like this, feminine names, or you can name a male like this. If you are belonging to a religion, then according to that religion, your name will be like this. According to this context, your name will be like this. If you are a South Indian, then your names will be like this. If you are a Northeastern or Northern people, then you will be like this. Okay, so in that way, the power will always control meaning production. All expression and use of language are situated in a context, and this context is discourse. So how you are able to produce this meaning about, generate some meaning about my name when you hear it? Because you are aware of the context in which I got this name. I am a South Indian and I am a Malayali, I am a Christian and I am a woman. All these things at least you can derive and you can create that meanings from my name by hearing my name, even though you don't know how I look like. Okay, so this context of meaning generation and representation is discourse. What a discourse does is to define what can be said. So in a discourse, what is discourse is doing? Okay, discourse actually defining what can be said or what you can at least produce in a context. Discourse is a context in which a culture's communication, meaning production and interpretation occur. So in sum total, we can see that discourse is a very much important thing in a culture because it is a context. It is that situation in which culture's communication is happening, meaning production is happening and interpretation of that meaning also happening. See, you interpreted many things when you heard my name, right? So that is happening in that context. Context in the sense, in the context of Indian scenario, in the context of South Indian, in the your concept about these things are made you to able to make such representations about my name. Okay, so you can take any other things in society that is there, the way of dress, femininity, any other abstract or concrete things you can take as an example. I just mentioned example of a name. Okay, it is a terrain of thought and expression. That means discourse is a terrain, is a place or a plane of thought and expression. Please remember that. Then every object, subjectivity and identity has a representation in society, and cultural studies about how this representation works within the culture. So everything every other thing that is there in this society, even the minute thing, you can think any of the things, and all these objects, all this subjectivity, all these identities, various identities that people have, object have, and any other practices and customs you have in the society, everything, they are represented in society. There is a representation for that things in society, and these things are studied in cultural studies about how this representation works within that culture. Okay, you can think of anything and everything. Okay, for cultural studies, everything that is there in a society is a language. See how a culture is formed, how a community is formed through communication, right? So how communication will happen if there is no language? So communication and society will happen, society will maintain, and it will occur in language, right? See, without language you cannot think, you cannot convey anything, you cannot understand anything. Everything, even if you have a painting with you, you are understanding it in a certain language that are known to you. So language is not only the language that we are speaking, some languages we are speaking, but still language as a system of science. Okay, so cultural studies is always studying about a society and its culture, and culture is also just like a language. It contains lot of science, and science contains words and concept, or words or sound and concept, right? Together makes science, and science are nothing but codes. Codes in the sense, let me give an example of toys that we usually purchase for kids. See, if you look at this scenario, you will feel that it is so simple, and it's a simple concept that we buy toys for kids. Have you ever noticed how we are so discriminating in buying toys for kids? Will you buy, let me ask you, will you buy a 4-year boy a Barbie girl to play, or will you buy a toolkit to a girl who is 4 years old? No, you usually, not in every scenario, but most of the people, they will buy a Barbie girl for their girl child to play, while a toy kit or a gun or a truck for the boys to play. So that itself shows that how we are, internally gendered about our own kids. We have a gender idea about our own kids. Okay, so the concept of femininity and masculinity is there, always set there. It is there before we are having that kids. So through giving toys, Barbie girl toys to, or Barbie girl dolls to the girl child, and the toolkit to the boys, we are actually emphasizing that gender roles, that idea of masculinity and femininity there. It's not that we feel that it's quite natural. We don't actually think about all these gender ideas and the discrimination things that we are doing there, but still we feel that it's quite natural that a girl is playing with Barbie girl, and a boy is playing with toolkits. You cannot imagine that a boy child is playing with a Barbie girl, right? Barbie girl doll. So it's like we have a connection, like dolls represent femininity, so girl child should play with it, and tools represent whom? Masculinity, that concept of masculinity. So boys should play with toys related to tools, toolkits. So it's like you are emphasizing, and you are giving rise to that concept as the boy child and girl child are growing, and it is emphasized that girls should be in the house, they should do house chores, they have to look after their kids, they should have nurturing qualities, and boys, they have to go out, they should do hard works, and they should engage in outer kind of hard labors, and they should be more like emphasizing, and they should show masculine qualities. So in that way we are emphasizing it. So if you remember the thing that I said, that in cultural studies we are seeing everything as language. We have to remember this. See, in this context, what is text? Text is toys. Text, the scenario in which that we are trying to understand is toys, and language is meaning of these toys. So what kind of meanings that we are conveying to the boys and girls, boy kids and girl kids, when we give them dolls or tools respectively. And discourse is patriarchy and gender difference. So the context in which that we are representing the dolls or giving these dolls to whom, boys and girls, is that because of patriarchy, the inherent patriarchy that is there in our mind, and gender differences that we have in our mind. Okay, it's not that neutral. That's why language is not neutral. It is not that transparent. It just gives you an illusionary impression that you are free, but actually we are under the control of all these power structures. Okay, so I hope that was clear. If not, you can ask me. Thus, cultural studies see culture as a text of science and generating meaning. See, here in this example of giving toys to the kids, toy is the text, and the meaning that we are generating is, what is the meaning of giving toys, certain kind of toys to girls and another set of toys to boys. And what is the discourse? Discourse happening in the situation, the particular situation in which this language is occurring, or the things are happening, or activities are happening, the exchange of meaning and construction of meaning is happening. That discourse is patriarchy or gender representation or gender differences. Okay, so definition or meaning depends upon what it is not. See, suppose we cannot give a doll to a girl unless we know the convention that governs such items. See, if you don't know that in this culture you will give a Barbie doll to a girl child and a toolkit to boy child, how come you can practice this? If you cannot give this, or you cannot practice this thing, right, in a context. And you cannot define femininity without meaning, without knowing what is the meaning of masculinity. See, this is how you define things. So femininity is what is not masculine. So what is not masculine, that is femininity. That is something femininity. Okay, so definition and meaning of a particular term does not depend upon its own. So the meaning or the essential meaning of a word or a concept or a sign is not dependent on itself. So again, this is a structuralist idea. Okay, but it is the meaning of that particular sign or a particular concept that is there in a society. It depends upon what it is not. So femininity, that if you want to define femininity or understand or give meaning to the word femininity, then you have to know what it is not. It is not masculinity or anything else, but it is what? It is something else other than all these opposites and other meanings. So all meaning is the result of this interrelationship. So the meaning of a concept or a sign is not possessed in itself. It is not inherent in that sign, but it is depend upon this interrelationship with that itself. It possesses with its own opposite or the other concepts. Okay, that's how meaning is generated and maintained through this interrelationship. Okay, so from this context, we can understand that all meaning is relational. So meanings are created and maintained in relation with its opposite or the other. All representation is based on difference. So there is a meaning generation or meaning creation. It is based on difference, and because of that difference there will be a web of relations created, and with that we can maintain and communicate that meaning. All representation is a system of negotiation where meanings contest for visibility and expression. See, there is a negotiation, there is a, it's a kind of tension going on in a system as far as representations and meanings are concerned. So meanings, they will engage in contest for visibility and expressions. Okay, in order to have an upper hand of some meanings, they are having a context in order to have more visibility and more expression. See, the meanings which are approved by the power structure, they will have more visibility. Other meanings will anyway won't get that kind of visibility. See, what concepts are approved by patriarchy or gender difference, they will have more upper hand, right? More visibility. Others will have less visibility. So take the example of giving toys, Barbie girl, Barbie doll to girls and toolkits to boys. It is approved by patriarchy and gender difference that is there in patriarchy. That's why it got visibility. Naturally and neutrally we are following it without any question in our mind. And this context is situated within a discourse. So this context, it is context in the sense this context happening between the meanings in order to have more visibility, that is situated in a context. So here in the case of toys, the discourse is patriarchy and what gender difference that is there in a patriarchy. Okay, so I hope that was clear enough. Now let's move on. So as a conclusion, let me tell you that to study society, you are studying culture. So if you are studying a society, not only the economic and political part that you are studying, but basically you are studying the culture. And culture is all about communication and making meaning. Okay, so culture is that you are communicating and circulating certain idea by making meaning. Take the example, remember the example of names. Okay, objects acquire meanings and value through negotiation, and these meanings then become naturalized. Just like toys, like in a context, in a discourse, it get certain kind of meanings, and these meanings then get neutralized and naturalized, and we are practicing like that. All these things are as a custom, and we cannot think otherwise. What if you will feel a kind of discomfort when you see a boy is continuously playing with a Barbie girl, so that you cannot accept, because the other thing, that Barbie doll is for girl child and toolkit for boy child, that's a natural thing, that is the neutral thing that you are believing. But all our concepts and all our meanings are controlled by power structures. It's just an illusion that we have in our mind, that we are free of think. We are free to think. It is not happening like that. And these meanings then creates identity. So whatever meanings that we have from the context, from that discourse, it creates identities. Okay, so about identity we will study in the next video. I think that is all about that you need to know about language and discourse. So please try to hear this video more than one time and also arrive at your own conclusions. And if you have any doubts, queries and suggestions, please mention all those things in the comment section, along with your own major takeaways from this video session, so that I may have a pleasure that you have understood this video and the concept that I have discussed in here. So don't forget to visit my website, and if you have any more queries related to the courses and the bonuses and the fee structure that we are offering there in the website, please don't hesitate to make a call or message. Leave a message in this number. And also, if you are there on Instagram, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. This is my ID, and also you can have all the free materials that I am sharing there. And that's all about this video. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to it if you are interested, and also press the bell icon while subscribing, because I don't want you to miss any of the videos that we are updating in here. So that's all about it. Meet you in the next video session. Until then, bye bye and take care.